Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Monday Money Messages from the Mat. So starting this week and over the next several Mondays, I'll be taking one yoga posture at a time and breaking it down for you, and then showing you how to apply the lessons that we learn from these postures on our mat out into the real world in order to redefine our relationship with money. So in yoga, we have a saying that goes like this: no mud, no lotus. And what that means is that until we truly experience suffering, we are not able to bloom to our fullest potential. So when we want to create positive change in our lives, it's likely to bring on the mud, the messiness, and the discomforts of life. And yet somehow, through all of this hard work, it can make the light at the end of the tunnel seem even that much brighter. So for this first week, I chose Padmasana, or Lotus Pose, to show you. Because let's face it, this pose really is the epitome of yoga, isn't it? We see it everywhere. It's even on our phone as the emoji for yoga. And it's a pretty simple one to start with if you don't already practice. So this is how you do it. You sit on the floor or your mat with your legs outstretched, and you start with your right leg, bend it at the knee, and put your right foot on top of your left thigh. Then you bend your left leg and take your left foot and put it on top of your right thigh so that the soles of your feet are facing towards the sky and pressing into your abdomen. Now, if this is not accessible to you because of flexibility or injury issues, you can sit in half lotus or Ardha Padmasana, where you simply just have one leg on, or one foot on your thigh and the other leg underneath. Or you can just sit in a simple cross-legged posture like this. You will get the same benefits from all three modifications. Then what you are going to do is take your arms and stretch them out straight, with your forefinger touching your thumb and the remaining three fingers straightened. Sit up with a straight spine, good posture, and begin to breathe in and out slowly and deeply to create a presence of mind and a stillness that can be hard to come by these days. So I want to tell you my own personal story with this pose. When I started practicing yoga years ago, I would dread it. And it wasn't because I couldn't do it physically. It's because it usually came at the end of class, and by this time I was tired, I was hungry. All I could think about was my next meal. I didn't want to sit up straight, and I just wanted to leave. And what do they say in yoga when you don't like a pose very much? They say that it's probably one that you need more of so that you can learn your lesson from it. So I continued to bear the suffering, and for years I would dread it but continue to go to class until one day I realized that the reason my teacher's counting was so painfully and utterly slow, and why we held this pose for so long, was because she was trying to get us to slow down, relax, be present, to get our inhales to match the lengths of our exhales. And once I eased into that suffering, it didn't seem so terrible anymore. So the lesson here is, if I would have just avoided it and given up on yoga, I wouldn't have ever understood the full benefits of what this pose can do for me. So now let's take this out into the real world. So what do we do usually when we're suffering? Because we've been trained to crave instant gratification, usually we will run away from suffering, distract ourselves, go buy the latest and greatest thing, consume too much food, too much alcohol. And I see this all too often as a financial planner. We'll ignore our finances even if they are in a state of disarray or less than par. So when I talk to clients, I will often find that they have a mountain of debt that just seems too steep to climb, so they allow it to remain there. Or budgeting seems boring and keeps them from the next pair of shoes that they want to buy. So they have no idea what's coming in versus what's going out on a monthly, weekly, or even yearly basis. But what if instead of leaving our finances in this state of disarray, we eased into our suffering just like the Lotus Pose, concentrated on the tasks at hand, and got down to business. I'm pretty positive that our suffering would be alleviated much more quickly and easily. So today I want to give you 5 quick and easy tips, instant gratification, to get your finances back in order if you feel like they are less than par as of lately. So, number 1, understand what it is that you value about money. So once you begin to understand what it is that you really like about money, for example, maybe it allows you to travel more often with your family or just spend more time with your family at home, then it's easier to define what your financial goals are. It's a good place to understand what you want from money and how to get there. Number 2, have some direction or idea of the direction that you want to go in. Now again, this is not to put you in some box and constrain you, but having an idea of, say, you may want to retire in 5 years versus working forever, that will allow you to define your goals and begin to create a loose financial plan. It's a good starting point. Number 3, know your number. So a really important number to know in finance is your net worth. Now this isn't some financial mumbo jumbo that's too hard to understand. Your net worth is simply what you own versus what you owe. So take your assets minus your liabilities. And the importance of this is that it will tell you your financial story. So let's say you have debt because your next door neighbor urged you to invest with him in the latest and greatest thing and promised that it would bring you millions when really it left you with less than nothing. Or maybe you borrowed too much on your current mortgage because you really wanted to keep up with the Joneses. When you lay out your net worth and it tells you your financial story, it'll allow you to avoid making the same mistakes again twice. So again, get out that journal, write down what it is you like about money, how much longer it is that you plan to work, and then figure out your net worth. Number 4, budgeting is not a bore. So whenever I mention the word budgeting to my clients, I see a look of panic on their faces because most people think of budgeting as a punishment, when really it's not. It's a positive tool that can create mindful change. So when you do have a grasp on the money coming in versus the money going out, it's going to put you back in the driver's seat of your finances and put you back in control. It'll make your future spending more deliberate, and it might even make you more grateful for what you already have. So I always say, cozy up with your honey, have a good meal together, and download a simple budgeting app or a budgeting tracking worksheet off of the internet. And finally, this is a saying that I use a lot. Earn more, spend less, and invest the rest. So think about ways that you can earn more money, increase your cash flow. Does that come with a new marketing plan for your business, or something like holding a garage sale next weekend and getting rid of the things that no longer bring you joy in your house? Or maybe it means putting in the extra overtime hours at work. Whatever it is, figure out how you're going to earn more income. And then, using what you've learned from your budgeting exercise, see where you can cut back on your spending. Finally, once you increase your earnings, decrease your spending, you'll be able to increase your emergency savings account. And once that cushion has been created, it'll allow you to invest for your financial future, which is ultimately going to get you where you want to go. So I hope you find those tips useful, and I encourage you to visit www.financial-yogi, where you can find a replay of this video, practice your Lotus or Padmasana pose, and also read my first blog that I've created to go along with this video. Happy Monday, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Talk soon. Bye-bye.